All right, so I want to do a series on Leetcode easy. I've struggled with data structures and algorithms as a self-taught software engineer, and so I wanted to walk through problems and maybe some of these solutions, some of these concepts, things that I've learned, I know that I've struggled with, maybe they would be helpful for you. All right, so let's jump into remove duplicates from sorted array. This is a Leetcode easy. Given an integer array nums sorted in non-decreasing order, so this means in increasing order. I'd probably say it to confuse us, but it's increasing. So we have an array of 1, 1, 2, for example. It's increasing, so we know it's sorted. That's important. Remove the duplicates in place such that each unique element appears only once. The relative order of the elements should be kept the same. So we want to do it in place. That means we can't use like a hash map to check the frequency or keep the uniques. We can't create another array and just push the unique elements to it. The other thing they ask us to do is return k, which is just the length of unique. K equals length of unique. So a couple different things going on. Let's see a couple ways we could try to solve this. The first thing you might think is to do keep track of current and then do like a for loop. And then what we'll do is we'll get num equal nums of I, and then if num does not equal, so if num equals current, we actually want to splice it. So let's do like nums dot splice. Splice mutates the original array. It's slightly different than slice, which returns an array. We want to do splice at index I, one element. So we want to cut one element out of it. And then after this, we will just set current equal to num. And then what we can do is just return nums.length because we've been mutating the array. We might think this would work. This actually has some problems, but let's see what happens. So it looks like it works, right? Accepted. But then if we submit it, it's wrong. And the reason why is because nums.length is changing if we splice it. And so as it changes, the index of I starts skipping over numbers. And so we actually end up missing some. And that's why in this case we actually still have some duplicates because we've skipped a 1, we've skipped a 2, and we start kind of losing track. So how do we work around this? Well, one thing we could do is we could change this to a while loop. So if we make this while I is less than nums.length, we do the same thing. Else I plus plus. And then the other thing we want to do is just keep track of, well, technically we don't need to keep track of that number, so we could just try this. This basically says, hey, if it's the same, delete it. If it's not the same, increment I. So we don't increment I every time, and that was the problem with the for loop. So let's see if this works. Oh, I did not initialize I. Let I equals 0. Let's try that again. See if I get any more errors. No. Okay, good. Submit. See if this one works. It does. Yay. Okay, so that's one workaround. If you look at the hints on this one, it actually recommends a different approach. And so let's try that approach. So that approach is to use 2 pointers. So we can have 2 pointers. We could do x be our first pointer and y equal our second pointer. We'll offset those so right away we can start checking if there's a duplicate. And then we'll keep y to go all the way to the end. So it's basically a for loop that just keeps going until y gets to the end. And in that process, we will also check if y is not a duplicate. So if it's not a duplicate, we're going to move y forward. Sorry, we're going to move x forward. And we are going to save the value of x, or the value of nums of y, into where x is. Because it's not a duplicate, we are going to skip forward because x was actually at our last kind of saving our spot for our unique number. So this is a unique number. If we go to so in this case, we'll walk through this. If it's not the same, so in this case it is the same, so what do? Well, we just increment, we increment y. So it's not the same. Either way, we're going to increment y because we need to keep our while loop going, so we'll increment y. Now here we go. If nums of y, which would be 2, does not equal nums of x, which it doesn't, we increment x. We increment x, and then we save y to x. So what we do is we essentially replace this with 2. Now these numbers don't matter, and the explanation it explains that to us. And so in this case, we're actually done. We can now just return the value of x plus 1. So in this case, the final array is the length of 2. X, in this case, equals 1 right now, index 1. And we need to add 1 to it. We can't use y because if there's a bunch of duplicates, y would be a much higher number. And so x is the total length of it. So let's give this a try. Let's see if I have any typos. I don't see any. Let's give it a run. There we go. Okay, let's see if this works and see if it's any more efficient. It is. It's more efficient, and it works. So there it is. I hope that's helpful. You got 2 different methods. One where you control I incrementing, the other while you use 2 pointers to solve remove duplicates from sorted array on Leetcode easy. If you enjoy this, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if there's any other easy problems you'd want to walk through a video of.